Hello, I'm Dr. Jianing Chen from BNU HKBU UIC. Welcome back to my course. This is the studies of contemporary Chinese linguistics, Chapter 2. Today's topic is about phonetics. It is actually not a core content of this course, but is very important for further study of the Chinese phonology. Okay, here's the outline of this chapter, including phonetics, phonology, human voice, and different aspects of feature of human voice, including physical features, articulators, or vocal tract. And then we will talk about and introduce IPA, including the consonants, vowels, and suprasegmentals. Okay, let's begin. Let me first introduce the phonetics. What is phonetics? Phonetics is a branch of linguistics that study how humans produce and perceive sounds, voice actually, or in sign language, the equivalent aspect of the sign. And those linguists who specialize in studying the physical property of speech are phoneticians, the expert or scholar of that field. Okay, I'm going to talk about the different three aspects of human speech. Phonetics actually deal with such aspects, including first, the production of human speech, which means the ways that humans make sounds, how to make sounds. And second, the voice itself, means the physical feature of human sounds. And finally, the perception of human sounds, which is the way speech is understood. You can notice that there's an illustration on the right showing the sender produced sound or human voice or the content of the communication via some media. And then a receiver can receive the message or the information. They are actually conducting communication. Okay, there are three subdisciplines of phonetics. The first, how human plans and exact movements to produce speech, which is called articulatory or physiological phonetics. The second, how various movements affect the property of the resulting sound. What is the physical feature of the sounds, which is called acoustic or physical phonetics. And last, how humans convert sound waves to linguistic information, how to understand that, how to acquire that, which is auditory or psychological phonetics. And it is very important to discuss the phonology because it is much related to the phonetics as a field of a linguist. Phonology is the branch of linguists that study how language or dialects systematically organize their sounds, or for sign language, their constituent part of the sign, to study the very basic units of the language form. It has also another definition, which can refer to specifically the sounds or sign system of a particular language variety. Sometimes you often say Chinese phonology, English phonology, even Old Chinese, classical Chinese, traditional Chinese phonology. We're using such meaning. And phonology is related to the study of the system of phonemes in spoken language and to any linguistic analysis at a level beneath the words, very basic, tiny units, including syllable, onset, or rhyme, articulatory gestures, articulatory features, and so on and so forth. Or all levels of language in which sounds or signs are structured to convey linguistic meanings. Phonology basically studied the structure of the elements of units of language. Okay, back to our topic, phonetics. Phonetics study, as I mentioned, human voice. So human voice consists of sounds made by a human being using vocal tract. Vocal tract means speech organ here, a set of organs that you are using to speak, including talking, singing, laughing, crying, screaming, shouting, humming, or yelling. I have a question here for you to consider. Is snoring or coughing human voice? Yes, they are human voice because they are made by your vocal tract, but they cannot be regarded as a part of a language. What about talking in sleep? Yeah, they are both human voice and part of a language because they belong to talking. Talking must have some meaning and some voice, even though you are in sleep. Okay, vocal folds. Here's a very important concept, an organ for human being, because it is the primary sound source. We speak, and most of other animals cannot. Even almost all of others cannot speak like human being, primarily because we have vocal folds, which is the very important sound source for human being. Besides, we have other sound production mechanism involving production of unvoiced consonants. Unvoiced consonants means you do not vibrate your glottis during the production of your voice. And clicks or whistling, something like this. They are all human voice. Okay, let's then talk about acoustic or physical features of the voice. Since it is a voice, in physical sounds, it must belong to sounds, okay? In physical, sounds is a vibration that propagates as an acoustic wave. You cannot see it, but it's a wave through some medium to transmit. Through a transmission medium such as a gas or liquid or solid. You can listen to my voice directly, face to face, because the acoustic wave is transmitted through gas, through air. You can also hear my voice through other ways, other medium. Okay, so what about sound waves? Sound waves is a description in terms of sinusoidal plane waves, which are characterized by those general properties, including frequency or wavelength or velocity, which means the speed of the sound, how fast the sound was made. And in linguistics, we usually use the term pitch or tone to describe it. The faster the sound is made, the higher the voice you can hear. For example, for the tonal language such as the Chinese language, it uses tones, the pitch, the higher the length of the plane wave to describe or to represent different meaning. Another property is the amplitude, which means the sound pressure or intensity. Put it in a simple way, the stressness. How much stressness do you use making such sounds? How strong it is? and also the duration, the length of the whole voice. Let's show it visually. So the frequency, the wavelength, or velocity of the propagation of the voice depict how fast is the vibration. And amplitude depict how strong it is. And the whole length, duration, depict the time that you produce the sound in total. Okay, here are some examples of the sound wave. The first one is consonant. Second, E. Third, A. The last, the later three vowels are all long vowels. You can observe the shape of the wave. Okay, let's discuss the difference between two very important basic units and aspects, including phone and phoneme. What is phone? Phone is the minimum linguistic unit of phonetics. In Chinese, we call it 音素, which is a speech sound in a language, such as in the IPA. That means you can divide all the sounds of human voice into the very small, very basic units, and each one we call it a phone. It is the minimum linguistic unit, so it cannot be further divided into smaller units. So what is phoneme? Phoneme is an abstract categorization of phones. Consider, it is not actually a use in practice of a human voice, but it is an abstract concept categorization of a group of phones usually. It is the smallest unit that discern meaning between sounds in any given language. So it must be related to a particular language. For example, in Chinese language, in contemporary Chinese language, okay, you can divide different units concerning the pronunciation, concerning the voice. And then if two or more phones do not make difference in Chinese, and they are very similar, you can classify or summarize them as a phoneme. That means a phoneme usually can be represented by different phones, can be pronounced differently, slightly differently, but they do not make difference among them. And if two sounds means differently in a language, they must be categorized into different phonemes. Okay, let's talk about articulatory phonetics. It is about human language production. Consists of several interdependent processes which transform a non-linguistic message in your mind into a spoken or sign language signal. For example, at first you have an idea in your mind, and then you must transmit them or transform them into some linguistic message. This process we call the articulated phonetics. After identifying a message to be linguistically encoded, a speaker must select individual words to represent the message in a process which is called lexical selection. I'm now currently organizing my words, arranging my expressions to express my idea. Okay, here is the process of a lexical selection. I'm selecting my words to express myself. Okay, here is an illustration depict the process of oral communication. Look at the left part. A message sender at first have an idea in his mind and then encode the idea into linguistic units and express it in a sequence, logical or grammatical sequence to express it. The message then transmitted in the form of a voice and then be heard by the information decoder or receiver. The decoder first hear the information and then decode the message into the meaning and understand that. Okay, so during the whole process, there are two subjects conducting the communication, and there are several levels, which are linguistic level, psychological level, acoustic level, and back forth, psychological level, and finally linguistic level. So language deals with the transmission of an idea between an idea and linguistic units. Okay, here is the verbal depiction of the phonological encoding. The mental representation of the words are assigned their phonological content at a sequence of phoneme to be produced. The phonemes are specified for articulatory features, which denote particular goals and coordinate into a sequence of demands to the muscles of your vocal tract, any part, particular part of your mouth or so. And then the intended sounds are produced. This is a process for making sounds, and the movement disrupt or modify an airstream which result a sound wave. We can hear the different voice mainly because we are always changing the position or shape of our vocal tract and making different sound wave. Okay, let's talk about articulator or organs of speech. There was different places and manners of articulation producing different acoustic results. I think this idea is very accurately expressed when you observe the IPA chart, especially for the consonant part. Because you can notice here different places: bilabial, labiodental, dental, alveolar, postalveolar, retroflex, palatal, velar, and so on and so forth. Each part depicts the place that you are using to make the sound. And here on this column, you can notice the plosive, nasal, trill, tap or flip, fricatives. There are different manners, there are different methods to produce some sounds. Okay, articulator mainly have such features. That means you use your articulators, different articulator in different ways and make different sounds. I will talk about this chart later. Okay, the vocal tract, in other words, speech organ, we can find each part of speech organ. They are all useful to make different sounds, including nasal cavity. When you pronounce a nasal sound, you must use it. Make the airstream released through your nasal cavity. And here are some others, including the lips, upper lips, lower lips, and teeth, upper teeth and lower teeth, and different part of the tongue. And then you have an oral cavity here, okay? In most cases, you change the shape of your oral cavity in order to produce different sounds, okay? Behind your teeth, upper teeth, you have alveolar range here, and then your soft palate and hard palate here, right, in this part. And then later you have uvula here. The function of uvula mainly is to close your nasal cavity in order to produce a pure oral sound. And here you have pharynx, and also can be used to make strange sounds. Epiglottis. Epiglottis. The function of epiglottis is to stop your swallowing some food, any food or water into your trachea here. Stop the food into this part. The food or water must be swallowed there through the esophagus, right? And here is the most important part, I think, vocal folds. As I mentioned, vocal folds is the unique organ to speak for human being. Okay, we still have a chance to talk about this illustration. Speech organ or vocal tract, the direction and source of an airstream can affect the sounds, as I mentioned, okay? We hear different sounds because we always change the direction and source of the airstream in our vocal tract. And most common airstream mechanism use length. Here we have two lengths in both sides here, okay? They provide the power to speak out in a process of breath. Here, right? And also, besides, we also have glottis, vocal folds, glottis, and tongue, right? The tongue, they are also very important. Without them, you are not able to speak. So here are important parts for speaking. Yeah, here. They are very important. Oh, here's a profile illustration showing the different parts of the glottis, including vocal fold here. Vocal folds actually is very like a pair of doors. They can be opened and can be closed. When it is closed, the airstream, if the airstream wants to get through them, the airstream must vibrate, cause the vibration, okay, of your glottis. That is the rationale of making a voice. And if the vocal folds open, that is a natural way of your breath. You can observe different parts of that and know the function of the vocal folds especially. Okay, finally, we go to the last stage of the oral communication, which is language perception. It is a process by which a linguistic signal is decoded and understood by a listener. For example, someone else is speaking to me, I received a message, acquired a voice, and I must decode information, decode the voice into the useful information that I can understand. I think the prerequisite of that is I understand this language, okay? If the speaker is speaking another language which I cannot understand, I cannot decode, okay? So this is the reason why communication, effective communication must be happened between people share the same language. And the continuous acoustic signals are converted into discrete linguistic units in different levels, such as phoneme, morpheme, or verse, or even sentence and passages.